So, you've written a book. Now what? That's the question thousands of authors ask themselves every year. It seems almost endless writing advice is available on every resource you can imagine. Blog pages, podcasts, YouTube videos, magazines, conferences, workshops, you name it. If you are seeking out how to be a better writer, you will find the answer you need, and you'll find it pretty readily online. But let me ask you this. Why is good information on writing a book so prevalent, but good information on marketing a book is so much more rare? When I do a quick search on Google for how to write a book, I get 2.6 times more results than when I search for how to market a book. There also seems to be a difference in the quality of the results you get. For writing advice, you can find detailed articles for every minutia of your creation process. How to write compelling characters, how to outline your novel, how to get started writing your first book, how to name your characters. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a pretty impressive collection of resources, wouldn't you say? However, when I look at the results for how to market your book, I notice something very different about the content. More often than not, the articles you find are full of half answers and blanket statements. If you've ever gone seeking answers in a blog post on book marketing and come out feeling more confused than when you went in, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What's happening is that we are taking very complex topics like social media marketing and turning it into a bullet list. You've seen the type, right? They usually go something like this. Bullet point 1, post on so-and-so social media. Bullet point 2, use the right hashtags. Bullet point 3, grow a following. And we're left wondering, okay, I hear you, but how? How do I know what to post and when? And how do I know what hashtags are the right hashtags? How the heck do I even grow a following? How, and let me say it again, how? But let's put this in the context of advice that you can find for writing a book. Now, writing a book is no easy feat, you know this, and most of us need help getting from point A to point B. Here's how a writing advice article would look if we treated it the same way as we are treating book marketing advice. Bullet point 1, outline your story. Bullet point 2, write a relatable character. Bullet point 3, write all your chapters. Bullet point 4, edit. Now come on, imagine reading a help article like that. If you were just starting out on writing, you would be saying the same thing, right? You would say, okay, but how? How do I outline it? Are there different methods? If so, which one is right for me? How do I write a good character? How do I edit? Are there different techniques? Which one should I be using? Let me ask you something. Why can I find the answers to those questions in a quick Google search, but the same is not true for equally important book marketing questions? Why have we done this to ourselves? Why is there such a disconnect between the two pillars of a successful author career? This is a real shame because if we're honest with ourselves, writing a book is only half the battle. You also have to make it sell. An estimated 2.2 million books are published every year. Think about that for a second. 2.2 million. In 2017 alone, 1 million books were self-published. We live in an incredible time, especially for creators. We don't have to wait for someone else to give us a yes anymore. There are no gatekeepers. The gates are open to anyone with an idea and the ambition to make it a reality. But in the midst of all this opportunity, we have to remember something. Opportunity breeds competition. I happen to think that's a good thing, but the bottom line is, with 2.2 million books published every year, how are you going to make yours stand out? What we're going to talk about today is one particular facet of book marketing and promotion online. That is social media, and in particular, Instagram. Instagram is one incredibly powerful tool, but one that is often overlooked, especially for some reason when it comes to authors. We are going to deep dive into why more and more authors are flocking to the platform, why publishers are giving it more attention now than ever before, and why you should do the same. Above all, I hope our chat today will demystify some of the confusing book marketing lingo and half-explained tips you've read in those bullet point articles, the ones that so often left you asking how. My talk today will help you better understand this integral part of the publishing process, because really, book marketing and promotion is the second pillar of author success. Remember, it's not enough to write a book. You also have to make it sell. Before we get any further, allow me a quick hi, hello, how are ya, so that we can start to get to know each other. My name is Bex Skoog, but you can just call me Bex. I am the blogger behind Out of the Bex, an exploration into thoughtful, simple living where I share new books with thousands of readers every single day. I am also the creator and instructor behind Author Influence, an instructional website that helps authors and writers like you make sense of selling more books, building your brand, and growing your influence online. I live outside of Washington, D.C. with my husband, an overstocked tea cabinet, and 6 double-stacked bookcases, but we'll get more into my story later. For now, let's keep the content coming, and I strongly suggest that if you haven't already, you grab a pen and paper, a notepad, a few Post-its, or heck, even the back of an envelope, and prepare to take some notes. I strive to keep my training as fluff-free as possible so that you can really get as much value as you can out of the rest of our time together. So, pen poised, caffeine at the ready, let's get into it. Before we get into the specifics of why Instagram works the way it does, we need to take a step back. We need to look at some basic marketing concepts as a whole, explore how they've changed, and how that affects your own process for book promotion online moving forward. To do that, let's first talk about the competitive environment of modern marketing. As an author, you have the privilege of being both a brand and a consumer. This is an incredible gift because you can see the coin from both sides, or, like Alice, walk back and forth through the mirror into both perspectives. For a moment, let's explore your daily life as a modern consumer. We are saturated with content. 80% of smartphone users check their phone within 15 minutes of waking up. It's a pretty safe bet that what most of us are checking is one of a few common things, sometimes all of them in pretty quick succession. For some, it's the news, for some, it's Instagram or Twitter or even your favorite messaging app. But the bottom line is, we're connected. And what we're connected through is content. Photos, video, text, and access to the web. That's all content is, if you take it down to bare bones. We are plugged in constantly. Think about how many photos you see today compared to a consumer in, say, 1999. Think about how many status updates you see from not only friends, but companies, celebrities, and distant acquaintances every single day. How about over the course of a year? The world today is more open to you than ever before. I know this myself, having found fast friends from all over the world through my work online in places like India, Australia, and Saudi Arabia, just to name a few. These are connections I guess I would have been a lot harder pressed to make in 1999, don't you think? Content is king. Content is modern connection. And we love our digital content. To put this in perspective for you, American adults spend more than 11 hours a day interacting with media. But let's ask ourselves another question about all this easy access to content. How many ads do you think you see in a day? Seriously, take a guess. Almost every app you use on your phone is not only serving you content, but also serving you ads. When you're living in a world as accessible as this one, it's easy to forget how these incredible feats of technology affect not only your consumer habits, but also those of brands. Now, like Alice, let's walk through the mirror or flip over the coin and start to think about modern media in terms of what it means for your brand, your business, and how you promote your products to consumers. What is advertising anyway? Advertising is a competition for attention. So what happens when consumers have access to more content than ever before, and when consumers have more choice than ever before? It means that competition for attention just got a whole lot higher. Now, there is more attention available to a brand's advantage than ever before, but with that comes a more crowded arena that you have to stand out in. When everyone is fighting tooth and nail for consumer attention, the way advertisements get that attention must evolve, and those who wish to succeed must evolve with it. They have to move smart. There was a time when print was king, and the only advertisements a person would see were in the paper, a magazine, or via flyers and billboards. Then came television and radio, entertainment for the masses. These then modern devices were in every average home. Watchers and listeners would gather around these content hubs to enjoy a form of content they chose and willingly engaged with. And because that's where the viewers were going, that's where the advertisers went also. This was one evolution. Now fast forward to the birth of online platforms like LinkedIn, MySpace, and Facebook. These were all places initially designed as communities, online hubs in which various people of different niches and interests could connect through content. Users chose to use and enjoy these platforms, and the platforms then earned the attention of consumers. And once again, where the consumers go, the advertisers went also. At their most basic, ads and entertainment have always gone together, but something interesting happened when not just entertainment, but online community and online advertising collided. Something that had never really existed before. To understand the birth of this new evolution in brand and consumer relationships, we have to look at what came before. I like to compare traditional marketing to a megaphone. First, it's intrusive. It is largely interruption advertising, which I'll get to in a moment, but this intrusive nature can be explained through something we all experience. You want to be watching your favorite TV show, but you are forced to watch the commercials first. Those commercials are not content you've chosen. It is content being forced upon you. Second, it's interruptive. I always imagine it as a brand standing behind a megaphone yelling, look at me, buy this, buy this. This strategy is a lot like throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks. Before online advertising, there are a few ways to differentiate between those viewers who may be interested in an advertiser's product and those who will likely not. This is the way traditional advertising was designed because there was very little access to any highly targeted data groups like we have access to today. Think of it this way. When you see an ad on television, that ad does not have the full ability to target a keyed-in audience that their message is hyper-relevant to. For example, you might see an advertisement for an allergy medicine, but you've never had that problem. Or you might see an advertisement for a pet supply store, but you don't have any pets. Do you see how this is an en masse throw it at the wall and see what sticks sort of strategy? In traditional marketing, the consumer fully recognizes and acknowledges brand messaging as exactly what it is, an advertisement, an ad with something to push, something to sell. There is no connection between the brand and the consumer other than the ad itself. In fact, there is a definite separation between the brand and the potential customer. This was how the majority method of marketing and promotions worked for years, until the major growth of social media, and social media would change everything. We know that consumers are turning increasingly toward digital. And say it with me now, where consumers go, advertisers will follow. Our sway towards digital is easily seen by a few numbers from the marketing world at large. For example, CMOs expect to increase social media spend by 71% over the next 5 years. Americans spend an average of 23.6 hours online a week. Of this, social media accounts for the largest share by far, with 33% of those near 24 hours spent scrolling a feed. Ad spend on social is up. Ad spend on TV, radio, and print is down. What does this tell us? The world is going digital, my friend. And if we expect to succeed as a brand promoting to consumers online, then we must do the same. What social media and modern marketing offers to brands is twofold: data and incredibly dedicated community hubs. These are niche online communities where the people you want to reach are already hanging out. The question is, where are you? Imagine these niche communities on Instagram as if Instagram was a huge house, and behind every door was a separate, interest-driven party going on. In our case, a party just for book lovers. In this party, all the right people are there. It's bliss for bibliophiles. But what if you're not at the right party? What if you've used Instagram incorrectly and found yourself at a party for parents, or crafters, or style gurus? What if you're not at any party at all? If you're not on social media, you're not even in the house. You didn't even get the invite, and you are missing out on a prime opportunity that is as simple as the tap of a few buttons. Be in that right party. Be a part of that right conversation, the conversation that your ideal customer is already having. Here's the most basic rule of marketing that anyone can give you. Get your work in front of the right people, and you will get more sales. That old adage applies. If you are trying to sell ice to an Eskimo, your product pitch is falling on the wrong ears. Head to Florida. They need ice down there. It's the same with any advertisement, and this connection is easier than ever to achieve on the wonder that is social media. Let's take a moment to talk about the concept of organic marketing. Organic marketing occurs when the brand is so much a part of the consumer conversation that promotional campaigns aren't seen as an advertisement at all. This is one of the key differences between modern and traditional marketing. Good modern marketing on social is no longer interruptive. It must feel native to the social experience of each online platform. In other words, the most successful ads can no longer be seen as ads. MDG Advertising put it perfectly. The reality today is that social media is dominated by consumers. Brands and marketers are welcome in this space, but only if they can remove the hard sales pitch. How do we do that? How do we remove the hard sales pitch? We need to bridge the gap between brand and consumer that has stood for so long in traditional marketing. Basically, we need to join the party, and we get the invite through the fostering of genuine connection, genuine interest, and loyalty online. The only way to access these brand-consumer relation tools in the modern online marketplace is through social media. And by understanding how and why modern social media methods impact product promotion, you can stand ahead of the crowd. A crowd less well-informed than you, a crowd that is still confusing traditional strategies with those more modern. Let's break down the key differences between traditional marketing and modern marketing. Traditional marketing is based largely on ad spend. It is known for being expensive, time-consuming, and can be a waste of resources. This is worth the risk if you have a big team and a big budget, but it can easily cost more than it gains, especially when you have a small team or even, like most authors, a team of one. Modern marketing is based largely on content creation and brand loyalty. It is targeted to online community niches that are already interested in your type of product. It is built on brand-consumer relationships and feels native to the social platform experience. It sells without being salesy. If you're looking at these lists, you're likely getting an idea of who can best take advantage of each of these strategies, and you can probably start to see why modern marketing with social media is so advantageous to authors in particular. It would be remiss for me to discuss modern marketing without explaining the new phenomenon that is the social media influencer. I'm sure you've heard this word flung about over the past few years, but what does it mean? And why is it so powerful? Let's first define it in its simplest terms. An influencer is an individual who has the power to impact purchasing decisions of others because A, they have a knowledge and therefore an elevated authority regarding their niche's subject, B, they have cultivated a genuine relationship with a niche community, and C, they have a following in a particular niche which they actively engage with. You've probably noticed I just said the word niche 3 times in just a few breaths. That niche can be anything. It could be fashion, beauty, cars, motocross. It could be architecture, films, and yes, you guessed it, books. You'll recall that one of the biggest flaws of traditional marketing was the difficulty to niche down and serve ad campaigns only to the people who were interested, the people already engaged with that topic, and the people ready to become a paying customer. But through modern marketing techniques, influencers are the perfect gateway into the communities you want to reach. It's not just the follower number that makes influencers so powerful. What makes them a force to be reckoned with, and one that has turned the heads of advertisers everywhere in the past few years, is the influencer's ability to master the know, like, and trust principle. Know, like, and trust is a classic sales tenet, but on social media, it has evolved a step further. We could go into the traditional marketing definition and break this down word by word, but I like to explain it in a different way. Think of the last movie you went to see in theaters, the last local restaurant you tried, a clothing brand you decided to check out, the last book you read. Now, try to remember how you discovered that new experience. How did you end up in that theater seat for that particular movie, or ordering that recommended dish at the new restaurant downtown, buying those pair of shoes, reading that book? Odds are it came down to a friend or person you trust telling you about it. Here's a hard fact for advertisers. Consumers are always going to trust their friends' recommendations over an advertisement. Consider this. Which sounds more appealing to you? Going to a restaurant because you got a random flyer in the mail? Or going to a restaurant because the last time you had your friend over, they spent 30 minutes raving about so-and-so restaurant's life-changing tiramisu, how the service was so nice, and how it was a great break for them at the end of a long week. What your friends have to say about a product will always stick out to you more than what a paid advertisement has had to say about a product. Why? Because you know your friends. You like your friends. You trust your friends. What they say has weight to you. They are, in a sense, a micro-influencer in your group, as are you to them. What's fascinating about influencers is that they have mastered the know, like, and trust factor, and they have done it online. Successful influencers of varying audience size have built a genuine relationship with their following, a relationship that makes their audience feel as if they know them, as if they are friends with them. Influencers are prime examples of breaking the barrier between brand and consumer that exists so starkly in traditional marketing. Influencers are modern marketing at its peak efficiency, and it's no wonder influencer marketing grows year after year. In 2016, it was a $1.7 billion industry. In 2017, it rose to $3 billion. In 2018, it rose to $4.6 billion, and it is projected to become a $6.5 billion industry in 2019. Many influencers become entrepreneurs themselves, creating products and building livelihoods based on this unique dynamic, and I'm one of them. Now, I promised I'd tell you a bit about my story, and I'd like to share just a bit of that with you now. Here's a look at my Instagram account as it stands today. Over 40,000 users have chosen to connect and engage with my content. That's 40,000 plus users who share the same interests as I do, users who love to read. Every single week, my content on Instagram reaches anywhere from 40 to 70,000 users and leaves over 115,000 impressions. When I posted about this book, 42,129 people saw it. Over 600 saved it. 75 sent it to their friends, and 4,400 decided to press the like button. All this from one single post. But I've got to tell you something. It was not always this easy. When I first started on Instagram, I was like most people with great intentions, but little practical knowledge. Namely, I had no idea what I was doing. My first post had something around 20 odd likes, and they were all from people I already knew, and I couldn't get my follower count over 100, even with my Facebook friends list included. Clearly, I didn't know much. But here's something else that's pretty obvious when you look at where I am now. I figured it out. I started from absolutely nothing, knowing absolutely nothing, but I got to here, and I'm still growing. I learned, and I learned hard, and now I collaborate with big-name publishers, have incredible opportunities to work with brands I love, and I have the joy of sharing fantastic books with thousands of like-minded readers every single day. And you're probably wondering why I would be willing to share my less than lackluster start, but it's actually my exact point, and one that I hope you'll take away from our conversation today. You see, social media, it's a skill, and one I believe anyone can learn. Anyone. No matter how confusing it seems at the start. I took my years of research, experimentation, mistakes and corrections, growing pains and aha moments, and I developed an Instagram strategy that took me from less than 100 followers to over 40,000. And now I teach authors how to do the same thing. But as I grew over the years as a book blogger, I started to notice a big disconnect between the book blogging community and the authors whose books we were promoting. Most authors weren't even aware that what we have affectionately termed Bookstagram even existed. Those who did have an Instagram were using it incorrectly or not at all. There was something missing in our community, and it was authors and writers like you. There seemed to be this incredible lack of knowledge, and therefore missed opportunities, neglected potential, and wasted efforts that could so easily be redirected into something valuable for those authors who were confusing traditional marketing with modern marketing strategies. And I asked myself a question. What if authors knew what influencers know? What if authors could harness those same powers of brand building, audience creation, and content strategy? And so, Author Influence was born, and I worked to create a flagship Instagram training course specifically for authors and writers, designed by someone who has seen both sides of that coin, walked through Alice's mirror, and who has been where they are right now, starting from nothing more than the willingness to learn and the drive to get there. If you're thinking that the competition is too great for you to make your mark, let me tell you this. Because so many consumers are using Instagram, so are many brands. But here's the catch. Many use it incorrectly. As an author, you are a business. You are a brand. By educating yourself with a proper strategy and by truly understanding the tenets of modern marketing, you can stand out from that competition. Furthermore, authors are in a niche so specific and so prevalent on Instagram, they have a greater advantage over other types of brands. And authors have this incredible, unique opportunity to be both a brand and an influencer, if done correctly. And that's what I want to teach you. First, let's talk about Bookstagram. I'm hoping that you are familiar with this term, but if you are not, please don't feel bad. Plenty of authors and writers are in your shoes. And that's what I'm here for, after all. Bookstagram, put simply, is a collection of Instagram posts from book bloggers, publishers, and readers that showcases, well, books. Bloggers who post consistently in this niche are termed bookstagrammers. Bookstagram is, in my opinion, one of the happiest places on the internet. The posts themselves are varied in style. Sometimes they are a cozy shot of a bed and a book or breakfast. Sometimes they are sported on travel, on the go, or at home on a shelf. They vary across genres, with some bloggers focusing in on a specific type with everything from mystery thrillers and horror to romance and contemporary fiction. We have readers who collect classics, who read prize winner lists, and even poetry addicts. But there is one thing all these posts have in common: the love of a great read. When we talked about modern marketing through social media, we talked about the power of the niche and the communities that gather there. These are communities centered around a common interest, usually an interest they are extremely passionate about, passionate enough to post millions, yes, you heard that right, millions of Instagram photos about the thing they love most. In our case, that's books. And at my last check, the Bookstagram hashtag alone houses 34,121,359 posts. Over the last 4 years, the Bookstagram community has grown so much that year after year, publishers and PR companies give it increasing attention. Even news outlets like Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, and Forbes are taking notice and have shared articles about what we do. Many ARCs now list Bookstagram as part of their marketing campaign. Publishers have collaboration programs solely for Instagram influencers, and authors are slowly realizing that they too should be taking advantage of the ever-growing Bookstagram. Some of my fellow Bookstagrammers said it best in a feature in Forbes. Audra said, "Goodreads is great for reviews if you know what you're looking for already, but it doesn't really offer you recommendations. And don't get me started on Amazon. Even though it is an online world, Bookstagram is like a community filled with people who care about each other and have interesting conversations about what we are all passionate about." In the same piece, Alyssa from Swept Away by Books said, "The quick snapshot that a reader can get of a book, be it the Instagrammer's thoughts while reading, after reading, or even just a heads up that this book sounds interesting, is integral to how readers find books to read today. It doesn't hurt that some of the photography of books is absolutely beautiful, so that draws readers in massively too." Andrea Dunlop, an author who has used the Bookstagram community as a tool in the release of her own books, said, "So many outlets that once covered books and helped them find audiences have either shrunk or disappeared, all while the number of books being published every week, every day, if you factor in self-published titles, has exploded. I think Bookstagrammers have really helped to fill that void." Here's the typical cycle of how books are shared on Instagram. First, a book is either A, pitched to the Bookstagrammer in the same way books are pitched to traditional book bloggers, via publishers or agencies, or B, requested from the Bookstagrammer to the publisher. Then the book is sent to the Bookstagrammer, almost always in physical format, instead of ebooks for photography purposes. From here, a Bookstagrammer may choose to post multiple times about the book. That sometimes includes an unboxing, a share when starting the book, a share while reading the book, and or a share after reading the book with a review. These shares expose a book to thousands of potential readers, and not through a random advertisement, but through a unique form of chosen content and chosen interaction with a fellow reader they know, like, and trust. It is more important than ever to not only carve out your place on social media, but to carve it out well. To really put this in perspective, here are some data from Domo's Data Never Sleeps 5.0 report in 2017. These numbers are generated every minute of every day. Every minute. Considering this report is several years old, imagine how these numbers might have changed today, and let that soak in. Data like this leads to an important question. How do we make your content stand out? Consumers today have a great deal of choice. How do we make them choose you? Because of this surplus of choice, branding and brand consumer engagement is more important than ever. The easiest way to accomplish that engagement is through the power of social media and creating content that appeals to your ideal audience. Social media bridges the gap between you and the audience you're after. Choosing not to use social media to build your brand is an easy way to get left in the dust. There are several social media platforms that are popular today. A common question authors ask is what platform is the right choice for them? While Instagram has some great stats that can help you understand its strengths, like its 1 billion monthly active users or that 500 million users are on Instagram stories every day, the real benefit Instagram offers, uniquely for authors, is access to a thriving niche community of book lovers, all focused on finding their next great read. That community is already there. You just need to walk in. Additionally, Instagram is also one of the few remaining social platforms that is inherently designed for your account to grow. As an author who chooses to use Instagram as a part of your marketing strategy, you are taking advantage of a powerful, free platform that you can use as a tool to fuel your success. Choosing not to have an Instagram account set up properly as an author who is looking to promote their book online is equivalent to a brick-and-mortar store not registering their location with Google Maps. You are missing out on vast numbers of potential customers that, without this technology, would likely never reach you, let alone hear about you. Like it or not, social media is something you must invest in if you want to succeed, but do it the right way. Do it smartly. Use these platforms wisely as a tool. Go in with the know-how you need and a strategy to make the platform work for you, not to make you work for the platform. I can tell you're one of the smart ones because after all, you're here, you're watching this presentation, and clearly you're showing up for yourself and the plans for the future success you believe in. Let's talk about a few ways authors can actually use Instagram as part of their marketing strategy. First, to increase brand awareness. Remember that an estimated 2.2 million books are published every year. In such a competitive market, increasing your brand awareness and keeping your brand top of mind is key. For example, brand awareness is a powerful force in circumstances where consumers are asked to choose your brand over a competitor's. If a reader is in a bookstore looking for a book in the same genre you write in, and they are already familiar with your brand through your marketing strategy, then they are likely to A, notice your name more than others along the shelf, B, pull your book down off the shelf, C, choose your book to purchase because they feel they already know you. Your brand campaigning online has given them a clear idea of what they can expect from your work, and they take action based on that relationship. Second, authors use Instagram to introduce dedicated audiences to their products. By engaging with the Bookstagram community, working with influencers, and building a following, you are exposing your work to potential readers who may otherwise never have noticed your work. This is the perfect opportunity to take advantage of the niche community that Bookstagram provides. This is the same type of exposure you would get from a paid ad, but without the ad fees, and without sounding too salesy, like the forced pitches of traditional marketing. If used correctly, you can use Instagram to build a genuine relationship with potential readers, just like influencers do, which brings me to the third way authors use Instagram: engaging potential readers. Because social media removes the traditional barrier between brand and consumer, you can actively use Instagram to connect with those potential readers and convert them into sales. Next, authors use Instagram to maintain brand interest and repeat readers. Similar to growing an email list, growing a following can help you maintain and nurture the relationship you have with first-time customers and turn them into second-time customers and third-time customers, and so on. Repeat customers, or repeat readers in your case, should never be ignored in your marketing strategy. Repeat customers are likely to spend more money with you because you've already built up trust, and they are easier to sell to because they already know you, and they help to promote your business to other interested readers. It is statistically much cheaper to encourage a repeat customer to buy again than to attain a new customer. By using Instagram to continually break down traditional brand consumer walls and build up that know, like, and trust factor, you can maintain brand interest and increase brand loyalty. Lastly, you can use your Instagram platform as a way to promote deals, coupons, and sales, and even to encourage your most dedicated fans to in turn share those deals, coupons, and sales within the platform. This might include sharing pre-order packages, signed edition deals, giveaways you're hosting, or events you are attending. Instagram offers a wealth of promotional tools that help take your career to the next level. That much is clear. However, Instagram is just like anything else. It is a skill you must develop. Many do it the wrong way. Instead of investing and learning the proper strategies, they get frustrated and then wonder why they can't seem to grow. They get caught in the comparison trap, comparing everyone else's success and then asking, why isn't this working for me? Maybe you're already on Instagram and this sounds eerily familiar to you. Maybe you feel stuck, frustrated, and confused by all the conflicting advice you've read over the years on those bullet point articles. Let me assure you There is a right way to find success on Instagram and to take advantage of everything it offers. I believe that every aspect of mastering Instagram as part of your book marketing strategy is a completely learnable skill, a skill that anyone can master. This has been proven time and time again by the very students in my Author Influence Instagram course. These are students who have come from all skill levels, backgrounds, and publishing experiences. Everyone starts at the same point. Don't forget that. Remember, I didn't even know what I was doing at the start. But there is a strategy, there is a path forward, there is a way to find success. And I think you'll find that once you understand the rules, it's really not as difficult as you first thought. Instagram is a visual platform. It is based on the creation and sharing of visual media in the form of photos and videos, accompanied by text. But it's the visuals that first draw users into your brand. And it's not just Instagram that is visual. No, the modern marketing world is too. It is in our very nature to experience the world in a visual way. That isn't a new concept. It's just been taken to a grander level alongside the growth of our online world. Visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text. Content with an image performs 94% better than content without an image. 40% of people respond to visual information better than plain text, and 60% of people are visual learners. Our brains are hardwired to engage more with storytelling than a list of facts. It is the power of storytelling that Instagram has captured, and that's all Instagram really is: visual storytelling. Visual media is the way of the future, a future we are living in. In order to succeed with marketing your written storytelling online, you must learn to portray that text-based project in a visual space. Here's something one of my first students said about our training together, and this line of hers has always stuck with me, largely because I think she put her finger on something that so many authors struggle with. Here's what she said. I didn't understand how an author, one who deals in words, could appeal to a social media platform that is largely visual. Author Influence triggered a complete paradigm shift for how I view the role of social media as an author, the importance of branding, and the feasibility of creating a successful account. This stuck out to me so much because I think it's exactly where a lot of authors get stuck, this disconnect that they feel exists between text storytelling and visual storytelling. But there's not as big of a difference there as one might think, and I hope that this talk today will help you move past that and into a greater understanding of brand storytelling. Now, this is a pretty big topic and one that we cover more extensively at Author Influence, but I hope the next few minutes will open the door to this integral section of brand strategy, particularly through Instagram. Your brand is the perception of who and what you are in the mind of your audience. It is incredibly important because your brand is what separates you from everyone else. This is especially crucial in today's crowded market. You have to be more than just your offer of something to sell. You have to become, within your brand, a story in and of itself. It is not enough in today's world to be a faceless entity with something to sell. You know this through our discussion about the changes in modern marketing, how that has carved out from traditional marketing, and how audience expectations have changed. Audiences today expect something more. Good branding is good storytelling. And luckily, you're an author, so you already have a base advantage there that plenty of other businesses start without. To tell your brand story on Instagram, you need to create great visual content that evokes a certain feeling from your audience and portrays a certain mood that they can relate to the scope of your work. You do this through A, the creation of a theme, and B, the creation of a relevant content strategy. These elements work together to create an Instagram profile which encourages viewers to relate what they see to who you are as a brand. This is a longer conversation than what we can accomplish in today's class, but where I'd like to start is by outlining the biggest and also the most common mistake I see authors making on Instagram, and how to fix it. This is a subject I find resonates with the vast majority of my first-time students, and it also tends to result in the greatest paradigm shift in how you were thinking about using Instagram before this class and after this class. And if you've been to one of my trainings before, this might look familiar to you, and I hope you will use it as a check-in and a refresher. If this is the first time you and I have met, then I hope you will find the next few slides particularly illuminating. The big issue I see time and again with authors already on the Instagram platform but using it incorrectly is a clear misunderstanding of what exactly to post and how that can make a significant difference in your follower count. So let me show you what I mean. Now, let me warn you that the stick figures you are about to see are pretty legendary. These are hand-drawn by me, and I think they're pretty good, but they're definitely not winning any art prizes. Usually in my trainings, we have a little laugh with these guys, as we should, and though they are not artisanal quality, they do illustrate the point pretty well. So feel free to draw stick figures of your own in your notes as we go along, and if you do, send me a picture afterward. I love when people do that. It always makes me laugh. So that being said, let's dive into it. It starts with you. You are a complex individual. There are a lot of different things that make you who you are, different things that you enjoy, different things that define you as a person. Maybe you like to cook. Maybe you like to play golf on Saturdays. Maybe you just love hanging out with your friends. Maybe you like the outdoors. Maybe you're a parent. The fact of the matter is, there are a lot of different aspects of who you are that define you. The problem comes in when you start to think in a personal way instead of a professional way about what you post on your branded Instagram profile. That's what is happening to many authors. You are treating your Instagram posts as you would be treating your personal Facebook account posts, and that you're not thinking strategically, you're not thinking with any intention about the content you're producing. So that's what we want to start to fix today. Let me explain why this is confusing to a consumer and why this makes such a big difference in your overall strategy and your overall promotion. So let's say that your Instagram today looks something like this, and you are sharing all these different aspects of your life in one place. That's the mistake. Why? Because when a consumer stumbles across your Instagram account and he sees all these different aspects of who you are, it's confusing. And the fact of the matter is that consumers are just not interested in everything you have to offer as an individual. They're just not. And maybe that sounds harsh, but it's actually a very good thing, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Consumers don't have an interest in your parenting, or that you take great nature photos. They don't care that you golf on the weekends. They don't really want to see pictures of your friends or know that you cooked a great dinner last night. What we want them to care about is that you're an author. So let me explain this a step further. Whenever you are promoting something, creating a brand, what have you, when you are marketing something, it is really important that you define yourself very, very clearly. And there's a reason for that. You want to be attracting a specific type of audience. So, if you have a profile that is clearly defined, consistent, cohesive, recognizable, and it's all about you as an author, then you are able to attract the audience that you want. You want the audience who is interested in books, who is interested in writing. These are the audience members who are going to support the sale of your book, who are going to be interested in what you have to say on this subject. This is the audience that you want. So, you need to get rid of all this extra stuff because we don't want the consumer who is interested in more golf content. We don't want the consumer who is interested in more nature photos. We don't want the consumer who is interested in recipes. Why? Because where does this customer get you? This consumer has no interest in your book. They're not going to buy your book. They're not going to support the sale of it, and they're not going to help you promote it. Instead, what we want is this audience. So, how do we get this audience? By creating the type of content that this audience is interested in. This audience wants to know you as an author. They don't want to know you as a mom of 3. They don't want a million cute pictures of your cat. What they want to know is about your life as an author, about your writing process. They want to know about your book and your reading interests that they can relate to their own reading interests. There is a connection between you and your target audience that we need to take advantage of. This is going to be, more than anything, a mindset shift. You're going to need to start thinking strategically about your content, how you produce it, what you produce, and what type of audience that content is for. You've probably been thinking about posting as a personal thing with all those different attributes that you want to showcase in one place. It's not. It's professional. Personal means you're just posting anything you want, about anything in your life at all. There's no intention or real strategy related to marketing your book behind it. Professional means that you are producing content with a goal in mind. You are producing content that will attract the right audience, that will get them to help you promote and sell your brand as an author. So today we need to shift your mindset from personal to professional. It's not that you can't be yourself, but it is that you need to be in line with a branded version of yourself. Let's continue this conversation about making sure that you're consistent and recognizable about the subject of your content, which for your Instagram profile is you as an author or as a writer. All this content needs to be very structured, very clear to any new users that you are an author, that you have value for the audience you want. We only have a second to get the audience we want online. One glance at a post or a profile, and if we don't capture them, they're gone. So we need to convince them of your subject matter and of your brand right away. And we do that by creating consistent content that goes directly on your feed. Your profile is the first thing they're going to see. The more defined you can make your account, the more defined an audience you can attract. Remember the audience that you want from now on and think professionally about the content you produce. There are a few directions that you can go with your Instagram profile. If you're not interested in growing your following, you should at the very minimum consider Instagram and your profile there as a sort of mini website, one that works perfectly to introduce your work. That way, at bare minimum, there is an account available for readers on that platform to discover, to find more information about you and your books, to learn more about your brand, and hopefully convert them to a sale. However, the true power in Instagram is in the potential for you to grow your audience in an organic environment as part of a community that is already waiting for you to take part. It is my goal for every author I work with that they take full advantage of everything Instagram has to offer them, for them to become a bigger, more successful brand, for them to know what influencers know, for them to grow their platform, reach new readers, maintain connection with previous ones, and ultimately sell more books. What Instagram and social media offers to modern marketers like us is access to both data and these incredibly dedicated community hubs in specific, profitable niches. If you can get your work in front of the right people, you can get more sales. It's really as simple as that. Here's a quote from Forbes that I think sums up the value of understanding social media strategy. AJ Agrawal said, "In many ways, the value of a big brand name has diminished somewhat. You will not create a sales spike by virtue of being a big company. Smaller companies have just as much power as you do in making themselves into success stories." Think about that last line. Smaller companies have just as much power to make themselves into success stories. This is what I find most inspiring about the truth of our online modern world. This is the great news for authors like you. Gone are the gatekeepers. You do not have to wait for someone else to give you a yes. You already have the key to that gate. It's up to you to open it. You are the only one you need that yes from. The power is in your hands, not someone else's. Anyone with the ability and the drive to acquire the necessary knowledge can find success in this online world. And I believe that's you. I have 2 gifts for you today. The first is a resource download that will help you remember some of the key takeaways in today's talk. The second is a 40% off discount code for my flagship course at Author Influence, the Complete Instagram course. This is a discount code made exclusively for viewers of today's talk, and it will expire. I hope you'll stop by the Author Influence website for more training, more resources, and even to read about a few experiences of other authors who have mastered Instagram and who are using it today to promote their books online. If you enjoyed our conversation, it would bring me a great deal of joy to hear from you. I encourage you to send me a little note via the contact page at Author Influence. I read every message. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope that this presentation has inspired you, encouraged you, and given you a bit of worthwhile knowledge you didn't have before. I wish you every success on your journey. In fact, I am raising my cup of tea to you today in cheers, and I hope to talk with you again very soon.